Let's go to the phones. Here's John calling from Scarborough. John, do you have a question for the candidates?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Please. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I just said hello to the candidates. I'd also like to make a quick preliminary comment. It's kind of disappointing that the Liberal candidate is not available to answer questions as well.
All right. What's your question?
Okay. Well, this just generally deals with something that I guess is a little more obscurantic. I mean, you're talking about the economy, which is obviously very, very important. There are a lot of very important issues. I want to bring up a relatively more obscure, not as broad-based or as shall we say, as well.
All right. Please, John, let's hear the question.
Okay, the specific with regards to principles, there's a very small number of Canadians, about, according to the statistics, 3.5 to 4 million Canadians who are presently being called criminals. They're presently being threatened with arrest and possible imprisonment for what they do in their personal lives, specifically with their own minds and their own bodies. Essentially, they consume a naturally growing, God-given herbal substance known as marijuana.
Marijuana, okay.
Yes, they're called criminals and threatened with arrest and possible imprisonment.
Could we hear the question, John? Final request for the question. Let's hear the question.
I'm not surprised you'd like to get this over with rather quickly.
No, I want to get as many. John, yes. Just a minute. I want to get as many questions on as I can. I don't want anything more than the question, because it's the candidates we want to hear talk about the question you raise. Okay? Absolutely. So please carry on.
On behalf of 3.5 to 4 million Canadians, would like to know what the different candidates' policies with regards to calling them criminals and threatening with arrest and possible imprisonment might be. What's their policy? Why is that their policy? There's a small number of Canadians who don't particularly appreciate this infringement on their freedom.
All right, John, thank you. We get it. We get it. I'm not cutting you off, but I want to get to the candidates. It's their hour and your questions that will make up this program. Policies on marijuana. In fact, it is in the Green Party platform, so maybe you'd like to explain that.
The Green Party would prefer that we concentrate on the harder versions of drugs, crack cocaine, heroin, and so on. Those are the ones that are really creating crime in society. If we stopped, if we decriminalized marijuana, then the police forces and so on could concentrate on battling the...
But doesn't your platform in the party say not just decriminalize, it says legalize and tax it? Isn't that what it says?
Yes, legalize, tax it, and therefore control it.
Yeah.
It's essentially, there's not a whole lot of difference between cigarettes and marijuana. And in some cases, well, there are probably a lot fewer destructive chemicals in marijuana than there are in cigarettes. What is destructive is all the other forms of drugs that we're not concentrating on finding solutions for.
Okay. All right. But the question was about marijuana, and that's the party position. Let's hear from you.
You have to put it in context, though.
Sorry?
You have to put it in context.
Yeah, okay. Dan Harris?
You certainly do have to put it in context, otherwise you're branded soft on drugs.
That's right.
But we believe in the NDP that it should be dealt with as a health issue rather than a criminal justice issue, and that we should certainly be rediverting the precious resources of our police forces towards fighting more crimes. And of course, the legalization of marijuana would help to undercut organized crime in a big way.
Which are you saying? You're saying, you first said decriminalize, and then you said legalize. They're really two different things, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Well, the NDP's policy has been to legalize and tax marijuana as well.
As well, okay.
Yes.
All right, let's see. And Gavin Paranchothi?
The Conservative policy would be none of the others. None of what they said. No, we're not in a position to decriminalize or legalize.
Any further comments you'd like to make on that, or you'd just like to leave it there? Okay.
The point being that, as Dan said...
They need to fill the jails.
Yeah, as Dan said, it would undercut organized crime a great deal, and it would be better controlled. And as cigarettes are controlled, cigarettes are just as bad, if not much worse, than marijuana.
All right. Here's Bruce calling from Scarborough Southwest. Bruce, what is your question for the candidates?
Hi, Dale. I've got a little bit of a different question.
All right.
I was raised in poverty, raised by a single mother. You know, I look at candidates now in these elections, and they all mouth the words, I hear you, I understand. I'd like to ask, what are these candidates bringing to the table through personal experience that will want me to vote for them?
You want to hear a little bit about personal experiences of the candidates that I guess
instead of
brought
just
them
mouthing the words to me.
brought them to the decision to run in the first place, I guess, eh?
That's right.
All right, Bruce, thanks for that. Gavin Parenchothi, let me start with you.
Sure thing. Like I said earlier on, I was born into a conservative family that totally valued culture, traditions, and our language. I'm Tamil by heritage, Canadian by pride, and when I came to Canada at the age of 19, I had to go to college, I had to work for myself, work to pay for the fees, and I was also heavily involved in the community by doing a lot of community service at senior centers or at other places, cleaning up parks and all that stuff. I had this sense of involvement in the community because I felt I had to come in there as a person who brought certain values. I want to bring them back to the community because I thought the community was going in a different direction. There weren't enough family values that was instilled in our society. And so here I am running for the Conservative Party because I believe my values and the Conservative Party's values fall in place and trying to make a change in the society.
Dan Harris, the caller wants to hear a little bit about some personal reasons, perhaps, why you're here today, why you're doing this.
Well, I grew up in a single-parent family myself. Only in my case, it was with my father. And, things were always tight. Now, we certainly weren't living in poverty, but there wasn't much left at the end of the day. And that's, of course, what a lot of people are dealing with now. And I was lucky that I had all the supports with my extended family that was close by. And that certainly improved things growing up. But in terms of getting involved politically, Mike Harris was elected in 1995. And at the age of 15, I had an idea of what was coming and went and joined the NDP at that point. And then I've got over a decade of involvement in the Birchmount Baseball League, first as a player and then a coach and a sponsor. And of course, having run municipally as well, I've always sought to engage myself locally in order to help people to get things done. And it's kind of been a natural thing for me.